Today, we are joined by author, marketer, artist, the genius behind theabundantartist.com. He's helped over 20,000 artists get paid. Cory Huff, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Mark. I appreciate it.
Cory, it's absolutely my pleasure. All the After Hours entrepreneurs are very excited to hear how we can get paid because let's face it, we do not want to be starving artists anymore. We're over it, ready to get paid. So I want to start on that topic, right? At the very, very beginning, you started The Abundant Artist to help people change their life, change their perspective, start getting paid for the brilliant art that they're creating. At what point did you realize that starving artist is a lie? When did that aha moment come for you?
Yeah, I think it was a gradual realization over time. I went to theater school, got a BFA in acting. A lot of my friends were performers and visual artists. And as I started meeting more people, I was fortunate enough to meet a handful of artists who were doing really well and still are doing really well. And it was really interesting to see the difference in their behavior again versus some of the other artists that I knew. Right. And I think most of us know an artist who is brilliant, has incredible talent, has worked very hard to master their craft, but absolutely is either too afraid or refuses to promote themselves. And for a variety of reasons, it could be they don't have time, or it could be they're too afraid, or it could be they just don't know how. But that really was the difference between a lot of the artists that I know, is that the ones that are really talented and the ones that are willing to promote themselves, it made a big difference.
Well, it's kind of an odd combination of personalities, right? Typically, when I think of an artist, their skill is creativity and seeing the world in a different microscope. But business operators, they see things more analytically and logically, right? So how can we marry those two things behind? Is that something that you teach in your course? How can we do that?
Yeah, I've written books about it. We've written a lot of blog posts about it. We do teach it in our courses. But I think when you talk about business operators being more analytically minded, I think that's certainly true for some business operators. But business isn't just about the numbers, right? Business is also about relationships. It's about having something that's really great. If you have a product that sucks, you can be the greatest analyst in the world and still not do and it's going to be really tough to sell a crappy product. So quite often I find that if an artist is able to just open up about their excitement, open up about their enthusiasm for the thing that they do, and then they're able to learn to build relationships with a few key people, they can make a really great living from what they do.
Really interesting. Really interesting. So you say create relationships, develop relationships with a few key people. Who are the types of people that we as creators should get to know with and combine forces with? Who are the type of people that we want to be connecting with?
Yeah, I mean, for professional fine artists, the people that I work with for the most part, that's going to include art gallery owners. It's going to include artists who are important within their niche, right? So if you're a wildlife artist, you're going to get to know a couple of the big wildlife artists in your world and do some collaborations with them, learn how to run in their circles, learn where their work appears. Also building relationships with some of the companies that run the big online art galleries like art.com and places like that. Mm-hmm. Get to know some of those people and you'll open up opportunities for yourself.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I'm all on board with that. I think who you know really makes the difference. And I think that's part of the magic of living in 2020 is you've got tons of ways to reach people, right? So where is the best place to reach people? Does it depend on your exact niche, the specific niche? Like, because this is always the challenge, right? You really want to focus in on your craft, honing your craft. You don't want to spend all your time DMing people, right? How can we balance all of that?
Yeah, I think for artists, there's a few key places. And as cliche as it might sound, Instagram is really important for professional fine artists. It's not just because it's a visual medium. It's the place where a lot of professional artists hang out, and it's a place where a lot of like very enthusiastic, very wealthy collectors spend time browsing art. Right. So there's a group of artists there that are very, very prolific and very popular, and spending time on Instagram is a good way to get to know some of them, to build relationships with some of them. And then when you're talking about in a time when we're all sort of stuck at home, Instagram becomes even more important. And then building relationships with people on other social channels as well. Facebook, other messenger, there's like messenger groups, small messenger groups that are super influential and powerful.
What about TikTok? I'm curious. Any interest in TikTok? You see any uptick there?
Yeah. So the TikTok, the artists who are getting into TikTok now are growing followers like crazy. The challenge with TikTok is the buying audience isn't really there yet, right? The 40-year-olds with money are not really on the TikTok train yet. But give it 10 years and that'll happen.
Yeah, I could see that as a long play. And one of the things that I think really play well when you're using video or things like TikTok or the new Instagram Reels is kind of showing like before and after. Like, I think it would be a cool way of bringing people through the process, right? And speeding it up and playing with time lapse, that type of thing could be interesting, right? What are some other ways that you can make your art really stand out online? What are some things that you found to be successful, Cory?
Yeah, so the in the retail world they would call it merchandising, right? Where you right now you've got in your background a couple of paintings above your couch in your office.
It's beautiful.
And really savvy artists will put their art into those sort of stock photos of a living room with a couch, and they put their art over the couch. And you can put your art in all sorts of contexts, right? You can have your art hanging inside of a wealthy house. You can have your art hanging above a couch or on a stairwell, or all sorts of ways like that. When I was in Australia a couple of years ago, I met Maggie McDonald, and she has a background in merchandising, and so she does some really cool things where she will lay her art flat on the ground in her studio and take pictures of it. So there's like splattered paint all over the ground right next to it, and her feet are in the photo. So it's something you don't expect, right? Just a straight on crop shot of a painting is a lot less interesting than seeing a painting in sort of the natural wild habitat of an artist. And people really dig that. And she told me that the paintings where she's got her feet, her toes sticking up in the photo are actually her best performing images.
Clever. And that's actually a really great point, I think, that you brought up, Cory, is that being unexpected, right? I actually had Travis Chambers on the show a few weeks ago. He creates video ads for big companies on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. Very, very successful. He said the number one thing you can do is be unexpected. And so I think that's something that all creators should be considering, whether you're doing fine art, whether you're creating videos, audio, although I'm not going to drop anything too unexpected on this show. But yeah, I really like that. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you enjoyed this episode. I've got several other episodes right here for you. Smash one of these videos to make sure that you don't miss out on the tips, tools, and tactics of industry experts. Let's take that side hustle full time. Smash one of these links.